Bit About Crypto. I'm David James, the Job Whisperer, and we got another episode of Bit About Crypto. Bit About Crypto is a human interest story where we talk to people with amazing stories and how they actually found their way in their walk into crypto and what they're doing now. And I can't do it without the help of my compadre, Dave Hampton, Robo Recruiter. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. How are you?
Yeah, another week. We're back in Vegas.
Yep, indeed.
And so we represent blockchain recruiters. And so if you are listening in and you have a propensity or an itching in or a desire to actually know more about cryptocurrency or blockchain or NFTs, and you know that you want to be repurposed or you want a job there, then you should contact me. I'm David J. at blockchainrecruiters.net. Or you can find me on Twitter, the BTC Recruiter. And remember, just because you don't have a job in crypto or don't see how your skills are relevant doesn't mean that they aren't. All right? So just contact me. And, I'm pretty much, I take calls with anybody who actually wants to Zoom with me, and I'll find a way to help you. If you are a hiring manager and you have a project and you need resources and talent, then you need to speak to Dave Hampton.
Yep. You can find me at BC Robo Recruiter, or my email address is dave at blockchainrecruiters.net, or you can call me 760-513-6151.
Repeat that.
760-513-6151.
Yeah, so things are going really good. Now, what we usually do, so basically, if you please support the channel, hit a like and leave a comment and subscribe. That helps a lot. You can always change your mind. What we used to do on the show is we used to talk about the jobs that we had. We used to talk about all the candidates we had. And now we just have too many. We just have too many. So if you are in the blockchain space and you want a job, call me. If you're in the blockchain space and you need to see people need a job, call David. So we're we're really excited about today's guest, a fight-on Trojan from Southern California. Like myself, I'm not a Trojan. I was born at UCLA, but he and I, we worked that out offline. So with no further ado, I want to invite today's guest, John Kraski, the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Mark Cuban venture-backed NFT entertainment studio, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. This is always fun for me to talk to people in the space. So it's crazy. I've only been in the space a year, and now I'm considered an expert in the NFT industry. It's pretty wild transformation.
You've been in the NFT experience a year? That's like OG. That's like...
Yeah, it is OG. Honestly, I mean, I'll admit at the beginning of the year, I didn't even know what an NFT was. And now that is all I talk about. I mean, I live, breathe, and sleep NFTs. So it's, I feel very fortunate though. It's literally my dream job, working in my dream company. I'm doing exactly what I was put on this earth to do. So
as a recruiter,
that's awesome.
We call you unobtainable. It's like you're unobtainable because there's nothing we could come in and offer you, right? Other than blunt force trauma,
mastery, autonomy, meaning. You have all three of those, and that's what leads to satisfaction and career paths.
Right.
So
it's crazy. All those experiences, a lot of failures, all those things. It was sort of that kind of culmination of all those things, and it kind of crescendoed into what I'm doing now. But it all makes sense. Everything that happened before now makes sense, but it took me a long time, though. I'll be honest. It took me over 20 years to find my dream job, but I am proof to never give up on your dreams. So
I have zero experience with failure.
I endorse that.
I have zero experience with failure, but I'm really looking forward to hearing how you overcame. It's really a funny thing. So I really am an OG when it comes to crypto because I was actively holding Bitcoin in 2013, talking about Bitcoin. No one would listen. No one would listen. My kids got me a shirt that said, "Warning, may randomly start talking about Bitcoin," which is true, right? And then Bitcoin came, and 2019 came, and all of a sudden now we're talking about Ethereum, right? We're talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it's cryptocurrency. And all of a sudden, we started a recruiting firm 2 years ago. I said to Dave, we got to repurpose our entire firm. We fired all of our construction clients, right? I mean, no net. And we the calling that you have is the calling that we had. And we started this entire thing. And The first year, everybody was like, "Look, we're doing our native token. We're doing this. We're doing that." No one was talking about NFTs. Like, who do you have? And then all of 2021, it's 90%.
Yeah.
We've got an NFT project.
Word of the year, NFT.
Yeah, and nobody actually cares about making like that financial token or that use case token, as opposed to it's just crazy how it's gone. So
Yeah.
So John, are you from Southern California? Were you raised?
No.
Okay.
No. Born and raised in Seattle.
Seattle.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Seattle 206.
206. It's probably
206.
So it's raining wherever you go, no matter even if you leave Seattle. It's raining.
It's always raining.
That's why you stayed in the Sunshine State, huh?
Yeah.
That is it. Yeah. So I grew up in Seattle, and I went to Seattle U for undergrad,
Mm-hmm.
and I was an accountant actually. So I was actually originally a marketing major, and then I had a mentor that convinced me that I was super logical, so I should go into accounting. I don't know.
Did you go to the Big Four?
I did go to the Big Four. I did. I started with KPMG in San Francisco, worked there for almost 3 years. Then I had some friends at PwC in Seattle because ended up moving back to Seattle after my third year in public accounting. So then I worked at PwC for a couple of years. It only took me 5 years to realize that I was actually just a very average accountant, and I didn't like it at all. So,
Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. So people don't know this about me, but when I branched out on my own, everybody said, "Yeah, auditors nobody wants a job in audit. They're too hard to find." So I left my firm also without a net in 1991, and I started Internal Audit Recruiters. Right. And I eventually became the world's largest recruiting firm that only did internal auditors. And that's what we do. We would find people who were just so cursed and hated the financial part of things. It's like, hey, don't you want to go to Tokyo with Sony? Right. And don't you want to work for Nike in their internal audit? You go, no, you're not doing audit. You're improving things, et cetera, et cetera. So, but as I grew in age and mentored, I would speak to people, and I realized there are a lot of accountants who really hate their job because they are told by some influencer, their parents, if you major in accounting, you'll always have a job. Right. But not necessarily.
That's how I got sold on it. So
steady, slow and steady, huh?
Slow and steady. But then what happens is, especially after doing that for 5 years, you sort of get boxed in, and then it becomes just this monumental challenge to try and pivot out of it. So that's what's been happening with me for the last 20 years. And then now finally NFT space gave me a clean slate. So that's I'm so thankful for that. Because it's such a nascent industry. That's the great thing about it. So nascent. Nobody has experience in it. So anybody that's hiring is going to look at just sort of your passion, your enthusiasm, just your transferable skills. It's kind of a great opportunity to jump in if you're trying to kind of turn around your career and looking to try to do something different. It's super exciting. So I tell anybody that's kind of doesn't like their career or even where they're at in life, take a hard look at the NFT space right now, because it's going to welcome you with open arms. So,
well, this in all my life of recruiting, right? I mean, I've been a professional recruiter since '88, right? I mean, professionally, that's when I started. In all my life, never has somebody actually been able to get a job and be able to transfer just based on knowledge and attitude, right? And passion. Yeah. And I have an elevator mechanic who knows everything about crypto and NFTs, and we're going to get him a job soon as a community manager, right? Nice. An elevator mechanic. That's right. Yeah. Right? Because he can explain all on why this is working, why this won't work, and what's going to happen in the future, and that this is so great about this space. So you grew up in what kind of family? Did your dad work for Boeing, or?
No. My parents actually divorced when I was 7, but I mean, I would always fly. My dad would always live in super cool places. So he lived in Florida. Specifically Miami, Fort Lauderdale. He lived in San Diego. So spring break, summer vacations, we'd always be flying to see my dad. But no, my mom and grandma, who were both Italian, they raised me. They lived on the same street. So heavy female influence growing up. I actually did work. I had a bunch of kind of random jobs growing up in late grade school, high school. I had a paper route, but I also worked at a baseball card store for a while. So
you learned scarcity. You learned scarcity.
Yeah, so it's so funny how things come full circle. And then I just stopped collecting baseball cards after high school and last 20 years. But it's kind of funny. So when I saw this NFT space, I could kind of relate to some of the, the collectible
the nostalgia
components to do it.
Right. Yeah.
So you go to school in Seattle, right? And you were on your way to be marketing, and then while you were in college, you were taught to who taught
a mentor. You had a mentor who worked at, I think he worked at Morgan Stanley, if I remember correctly. He's like, you should really look at accounting. You're logical, a lot of jobs, the whole path that you got sold on. It's stable. It's recession proof. Yada yada yada. So I went down that road and I did well. I think I graduated like a 3.93. So I was obviously crushing my accounting classes. But I just remember the first day at KPMG in San Francisco. I think the client was like, they made heart scanners. I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is just like, I think I was doing some type of accounts payable reconciliation. I'm just like, oh my God, is this the rest of my life? What did I just sign up for? But I knew right then that was not where I should be. But of course, I'd already spent all this time studying accounting.
Yeah. It's knowing it and then acting on it, right? Which are the two things, right? So, and you stayed with Big Four for
5 years almost. 5 years. And then I started thinking, so I looked at the MBA. So I started looking at the MBA because I was like trying to figure my escape route out of this. So I thought that the MBA would provide me that opportunity, but I wanted to go to obviously a top tier school. I failed miserably when I took the GMAT the first time. I think I got like a 570, which wasn't going to get me to any good schools. So I knew like I wanted to go to like a top tier program. So at that time, I was like, okay, this process is going to take still a couple of years because like I just was not good at standardized tests. And
I can relate.
So I had a former colleague that was working at the time. It was Washington Mutual, but they got acquired by JP Morgan. So that's what I put on my resume now. But I ended up working for him for almost 3 years, doing loan sales and securitizations. I still don't even know I still don't even know what that is, but I did that for 3 years. It's sort of amazing. You can do a job for 3 years and not even be able to articulate what you did. But
hey, you can be a recruiter. No. Listen to me. My first day as a recruiter, you know what they said to me? They said, pick up the phone, call these 40 people and say you got a programmer in an MDS, XA, and a CICS environment, mostly offline. I still don't know what any of that means. But it's like, hey, well, does he have COBOL? I go, yeah. Hey, when can I see him? I mean, so I didn't stay in programming very long, so I understand. So you pivot up and you're a CFO. So basically, okay, we're going to get our MBA. We're getting out of accounting. Right?
Yeah. So I mean, it just took me a while, but eventually I bumped my score up to 670. So I literally, it took me probably 18 months of studying for the GMAT. I just became a G robot and I just muscled my way into a 670 through hard work. And nothing to do with intelligence. It was
sheer
just
will,
work, just grinding.
Sheer will.
Yeah, man.
And that got me into USC because I really knew I wanted to do like the business side of entertainment. They had one of the best business of entertainment programs in the world. And that was like, I didn't even apply to any other schools. I was like, that's the school, that's the program.
Right. And I also see that you actually were an intern at Walt Disney Company. I, of course, would come and plucked you out of there with that background. Absolutely. because many apply and few are chosen for that program. And you know that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, okay. But so what are you thinking your life is going to be after you get your MBA? And take this next emphasis.
A big time entertainment executive. That was the dream. I remember reading books by Michael Eisner, former head of CEO of Disney. Who else? Brandon Tartikoff. I would read like these books about like very successful executives in entertainment, and that's what I aspired to do. Then when I was at Disney, it's funny you mentioned Disney. I was there and I was kind of doing like finance and marketing. And it felt no different than working in Washington Mutual. I'm like, man, this is not what I want to be doing either in the space. It was kind of funny. It was just very robotic. And I'm starting to think like, wow, industry is not actually the issue I'm having here with my career, right? So, because I thought, oh, well, entertainment, business side of entertainment, it's just going to be so much sexier and so much more fun. Yeah. Nope. I still just like a robot sitting at a desk. I was like, okay, this is definitely not the answer. I ended up working for a Spanish communications company, again, very corporate. But then one of my professors at USC was Aaron Kaplan, a very famous TV producer. So I started doing some consulting work for him. He left William Morris. He was starting to do his own thing. So I literally did probably a year and a half of consulting for him, all free, all pro bono. And the goal was like, hey, like I'll do this consulting and then you'll start your own company, which he did, and then you'll hire me. The only thing that didn't happen was he hired me, not him not hiring me. So that didn't happen. So it was a miscalculation on my part. So then I was just like, okay, well, I got bills to pay. I had a recruiter, somebody in your world, they reached out to me and said, hey, there's this designer that's looking for somebody with your skill set. He's blowing up. And at that time, I thought it was a fashion company. I think even the recruiter thought it was a fashion company. That's even the more crazy part. But he actually ended up being a very famous interior designer. His name is Michael Smith.
Right, Jasper.
His claim to fame, I guess, at this point is and I was there when it happened. We designed the White House for the Obama. So that was a really cool project to work on. He's done a ton of other celebrities, Cindy Crawford, Steven Spielberg, Harrison Ford. I mean, it was like a very cool list. So it had some entertainment vibes, but it was interior design. Again, not passionate about interior design at all. But but the reason I was able to sell that, I think, in the interviews, because my grandpa actually in Seattle growing up had a furniture store. So I had that in my blood. So I think that's how I sold it. But again, I was a CFO, just not what I wanted to be doing functionally every day. I could do it. I'm smart, so I can kind of fake my way through just about any job, but it just didn't feel like my natural energy, right? So I did that for almost 7 years. I tried to break into tech. I worked for a tech company for a little over a year and a half called Laurel Wolf. They were in the design space. They were trying to democratize interior design with technology. Then that company went out of business. Then I moved to New York and worked for a smaller version of Michael Smith, another designer. Then
Brian McCarthy, right? The luxury.
Yeah, Brian McCarthy. But I was doing the same thing with Michael Smith, but just like on a smaller scale. And it's just, I love being in New York. So I got an amazing experience in terms of living in New York, but it was just, again, I would just not what I wanted to be doing. So
okay, so
thankfully the pandemic actually happened. The pandemic was actually, as tragic as it was for a lot of people, for me was the best thing that ever happened, because it gave me an opportunity to reset my life, and the world slowed down. And I was like, okay, this is my chance to actually catch up and figure out exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I took the bull by the horns. I hired a personal trainer, lost 40 pounds. I started with that. So it started like with a physical transformation. And then from there, I built it into like a mental transformation. So I started looking, I probably applied to 1,000 jobs, had 100 interviews, got rejected by 99 of those companies. And then all of a sudden, this opportunity with NFT Genius came. I was like, whatever. I honestly, at the time, I was just like, whatever. Like, what is this? I don't even know what an NFT is. Started to listen to some podcasts with the CEO and founder. And I was like, wow, this is actually the job I wanted.
Hold on a second.
Years ago.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
When you say that this job came, so you said you sent out 1,000 resumes and you went on 100 interviews, like one.
Correct.
And man, that must have been just dispiriting as hell. Like rejection, right? You get hired as a CFO in 5 seconds, right? But not these other things. So but so now you're learning. You had submitted to like on a whim, like all your other whims, to NFT Genius, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't know what this is, and you're listening to the podcast before the interview happens, correct?
Correct.
Right. So you're cramming. You're cramming for the test, right? You want to be a subject matter expert enough to be dangerous,
or at least
right? Am I hearing that correctly?
Be seen as what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it resonated. I was like, I understand. NFTs, the power to give creators and brands the opportunity to properly monetize their assets and also engage fans in a new, unique, meaningful way. All those things spoke to me on a human level, and it was the reason why I wanted to get into entertainment in the first place. I was like, oh, this mission of what an NFT can do to change, creators' lives this excites me. And so it was just very easy. It was a very natural, organic conversation. It was literally I literally spoke to one of the executives, half hour. He was sort of the first line of defense. And then I just talked to the CEO for another half hour. Boom, boom. Happened probably in 10 days. It was such an easy, fluid process.
Wow.
So everybody who's listening, right? This is a perpetual career number cruncher, right? Who will get hired in a minute to his brilliance of numbers, but he hates it. right? And he actually founds his way with some education and some intellect and a different spin. And he gets hired at this NFT company. And so that's what I want to say to you. If you're listening to this podcast right now, I don't care if you're a greeter at Walmart. All right. If you love crypto and are passionate about the space, you call me, and we will find a way to repurpose you. Whether we get you the job or not, what we do at Blockchain Recruiters is we find the people, we give them the opportunity. The clients, they come when they realize that they need us, right? But our mission, our giving back, is that we will actually help you help yourself and guide in the direction. And actually, you can see that John here, he actually just figured it out on his own. It's like it's a great epiphany. It's a great milagro, if you will. But let me ask you a question. You being a financial guy, you had to have heard about Bitcoin and crypto before then. You had to have some type of awakening to it. No?
I did, but I just really wasn't in. I just was like, I was like, yeah, maybe this thing is going to be the future. I wasn't sure. But yeah, I wasn't. I'll be honest. I was not active in it. The founders of my company were. They were crypto guys that pivoted into NFTs. They saw the opportunity to finally. I guess the easiest way is just NFTs are like one of those first use cases to be able to buy and sell goods and services with cryptocurrency. It's kind of that first kind of marketplace test. So it's super interesting. Now I'm definitely more, educated on it because that's all I talk about. So, but now it's my passion. It's funny when you talk about my career before. I was always exhausted. It just felt like work, and it was actually defeating, exhausting.
It was drudgery, is what it was.
Drudgery. I just do all this time. It just because it doesn't feel like work. I just wake up and just know I don't care about working 16 hours a day because it's not work. It's my natural energy.
Right.
So say it. So tell them what do you tell the candidates? They know what they do?
Well, I mean, you mean what you say or what? I was just gonna say you love what you do. You never work a day in your life, right? That's what Steve Jobs said.
It's not working.
Yeah, you're not working. I mean, that's. I haven't worked a day in my life in 7 years since I found recruiting. I mean, that's just I get that. I get what you're talking about.
There are days I make it feel like it's work for you. I'm not easy. But anyhow.
Well, if it weren't challenging, then I mean, it just. I'm not saying it's not without challenges, but I don't even view that as work. I think that's just part of the gig. Like, I mean, being challenged is necessary for me to be engaged. If you ask me.
So, John, go ahead. Oh, you were about to say something?
I mean, honestly, like, I think my mission now, I've realized I want to inspire as many people as possible to be the best version of themselves and find that dream job.
Preach.
Yeah.
Preach.
Preach, John.
Because honestly, during the pandemic, I had two friends that I worked with in public accounting. They both died. They're early 40s. One worked in Amazon. Another one was like a controller. Different reasons. Neither were COVID, but it just proves how fragile and short life is, and things can just, immediately be taken away. And if I'm still healthy mentally and physically, and like go for what you want. Like, just literally wake up to today or tomorrow, whatever, just go for what you want. If you're not happy with where you're at personally, professionally, or both, just go for it. Just don't even blink.
I'm sorry. I just got enthusiastic. I tell people, so I've been helping people find jobs my whole life, way before I became a recruiter. And what I do now is recently I went back to Wisconsin to see Derek Guzman. He's the head golf professional at Sand Valley there in Nakusa, Wisconsin. And they've got this golf program where they bring people in, right? And I said, I want you to stay in love with golf and not fall out of love with yourself. Right. And this is what John is talking about right now. Right. He had fallen out of love with himself because of the job he'd chosen. Right. Now he's in love with NFTs. He's in love with himself as a spirit. Right. No, but this is the winning combination. And you've got people who are not in love with themselves because they hate the job. Right. And I've got a lot of experiences because I came very, very close to a lot of my auditors. And, a lot of it didn't end well, like, divorces and just. There just wasn't enough of the good stuff in the relationships because that was so draining. So when you speak of that exhaustion, I'm speaking from firsthand experience.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no way I'd place an auditor again. I mean,
no. The cool thing again that the NFT, it's crazy because I started at NFT Genius. They just hired me as a special project manager. Like, I actually didn't. The funny part is I didn't even get the job that I interviewed for. That's even more crazy about how this whole story. I interviewed for was like a chief of staff job, and I probably was overqualified. They're like, yeah, you're probably overqualified for this, but we like you so much, we're just going to figure out to find a spot for you. So they just hired me on with a super ambiguous title, special project.
Okay, and what did that look like? Did it look like accounting again?
No, it was actually more of a product manager role. I didn't even know what a product manager was. I was just like, wow, what does this even mean? I don't know if this is really my skill set, but I kind of filled in the gap, helped them with a bunch of their different projects they were launching internally. And then I proactively started posting on LinkedIn religiously. I had taken classes. There's a guy on LinkedIn called Justin Welsh. He has something called, I think he changed the name of it, but it used to be called the LinkedIn Playbook. And it was basically a way to optimize and monetize your LinkedIn by posting and kind of giving you tips on how to properly post, how to engage with people on there. Also, the biggest thing he had was find your tribe on LinkedIn. You got to find your tribe. And I really never had the right message to find that tribe. But then it all clicked. I was like, NFTs. This space is so hot. I am just going to own it. So that is what I've done on LinkedIn. I've basically become the president of NFTs on LinkedIn.
So self-elected.
Self-elected, yes.
So is NFTs your tribe?
That is my tribe, 100%.
It's funny. Dave, what's your tribe?
That's a good question. Just recruiting. I mean, that's. I mean, I'm not. It's interesting that.
It demands some investment.
Well, yeah. I mean, recruiting isn't really my tribe. It's not like I'm in the tribe of recruiters per se. But yeah, I'd have to get some thoughts because I mean, I'm into helping people, like I guess the mutual beneficial relationships in terms of helping and paying it forward. Yeah. That's my tribe.
He's in the empowerment tribe. That's the way. But it's funny that you say that because I learned this from Robert Kiyosaki. As soon as the COVID hit, right, I'd come home from India and I was relegated to my son's bedroom for 14 days. I mean, literally, I went to India and then everything was turned off when I got back. A part of me feels like it was my fault. If I could just go back around.
He wanted to go to India, but you know, at no fault of his own. It was kind of the genesis of our growth. It was necessary for us to train.
I trained some gals there, but it's funny. Robert Kiyosaki says you got to join the learning tribe, and I go, that's it. I'm joined the learning tribe, but I've also joined the crypto tribe and I've joined the golf tribe. And if you're marginalized somehow and you can't get a job, then whatever me helping you is, I want to be in that tribe too, right? Because I see there's a lot of people that don't have the bite of the apple, right? Mm-hmm. That actually with this NFT and with cryptocurrency, it's like if they've got a vision, they can have a voice. So that just speaks to me. So when you said that your tribe, that's resonated. Let's talk about So your job has evolved, right? So you're like this ambitious. So you were hired for your talent, right? Which, by the way, everybody, you hear John's story.
Yep, he's the proof in the pudding.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
It's not luck, okay?
No,
it's not, hey, we just
attitude.
We had no good. You're the only guy that applied, and we're desperate. It's not even like that, right? So talk about how you evolved at your current company, what you were doing, to
piggyback off the LinkedIn stuff. So. The reason why I even brought that up is because that started creating business development opportunities. So really what I wanted to be doing was more business development, relationship management. So I just started proactively using LinkedIn to start developing these relationships. I started bringing different partnerships to the company. One of the big ones was actually, I didn't even realize it. At the moment, I thought it was fake, but Shaquille O'Neal and his whole management team reached out and they were like interested in exploring an NFT partnership. So that was like one of the first big time partnerships I brought to the CEO and the executive team. And so I just started doing that more and more. And I've been doing that in different verticals outside of sports, music, TV, film, consumer goods.
Did any of your entertainment background as a controller or a CFO, or any of those relationships saying, hey, I know how to reach this person? Did you call in any favors?
I did that, but honestly now, because of how I'm probably getting 10 to 15,000 views per each post. So people are reaching out to me now. I actually don't have to do much. My LinkedIn honestly should be on the payroll because that thing is humming right now. So if you can get that algorithm dialed in, LinkedIn can just like change your life. I'm telling you. I'm a LinkedIn guy. I'm not a Twitter guy. I'm not an Instagram guy. LinkedIn is where my tribe is, and that's where my voice speaks the loudest.
That's the same with me. I've got other people who post for me on Instagram and stuff like that for the show, but I agree. And my LinkedIn is humming like it never has before. It's amazing. I all of a sudden, if you get on my calendar, all of a sudden, boom, and I realize, well, I'm bringing somebody else in. Very, very powerful people that they didn't want me to know in the beginning. It's just amazing. So
I started taking on more of this business development. It wasn't really in my job title, but I just started doing it. And then eventually they're just like, they started seeing, okay, well, maybe this is what he should be doing. But they actually, after Special Project, they put me in operations for a while because, again, the curse of my accounting and finance background. They're like, well, that's probably what he likes to do because that's what
he's always done, right?
And he's so good at it.
So they're just like, oh yeah, they're like, that's what he likes to do.
He got a 393. Go on.
So I did that for I don't even know, maybe 6 weeks, and then I told our chief of staff, I'm like, I don't like this. Like I don't want to be doing this. And she's like, okay, I'm just gonna tell the CEO. And he was like, "Oh, you should have told me sooner." Well, okay.
But you know what that tells me?
You told Carissa, right?
I told Carissa. Yeah.
And she tells it like it is.
Yeah, and here's the deal. Yeah, we're speaking to her next, and she's
awesome.
She's cloaked in immense power. I know that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that that's another way that you're in the right place when you can simply just say to the CEO or the chief of staff, "I don't love the gig," and they immediately say, "Oh, we don't want you to not be in love." Right? You never had those experiences at KPMG. It's like, hey, I don't want this client.
Yeah, they're like, you say that over there, and like, all right, well, I guess you better find another job then,
No, what'll happen is you'll be doing the audits at the DMV and the Department of Power, right? Yeah. You can tell who good a candidate is.
Now how much do you like this?
First question you ask is, who are your clients? They say DMV. It's like, okay, you're either dumb or a troublemaker, right? And neither are going to fit with my clients. But anyhow, so you got out of the operations, and then what?
Then like they're like, well, why don't you come up with a title of what you want to really do? So I was like, wow, this is insane. I was like, wow, you're gonna let me create my dream job. This is pretty cool. So we came up with the title of Director of Strategic Partnerships, which is sort of a hybrid of business development and relationship management, which is exactly what I should be doing. And I've always been good at connecting people and developing relationships, but I never was able to monetize it. It's crazy. It's like something I've been doing for the last 30 years. And now I'm finally able to monetize it and really be the best version of myself, personally and professionally.
It's nuts. It's nuts because I feel the same way about recruiting. I was like, when I found recruiting, I was like, wait a second, this is a job? I get paid for this? Like I've been doing, I was always the guy who was like, oh, you should talk to so and so. Like, I mean, I was doing that in high school. I was doing that in college. I mean, recruited my entire intramural basketball team. We won the state champion. We won the championship twice. It wasn't by a fluke that I brought all the people to the team. And I'm like, and you look back on that, and you're like, wait a second. It's just, it's incredible. It's
incredible. I guess it's proof that. Like, I guess you're taught like a work needs to feel like work. You need to be exhausted and spinning your head.
Yeah, or it's not work. That's an old tape. Yeah, and I'm just gonna pile on that. I recruited a guy to be the heavyweight for one match on the wrestling team, right? Because Santa Barbara High didn't have one. We got the 6 points, right? I mean, I've got a series of that. And then when I get out of school and I hear about recruiting, I go, you guys get paid how much? This is a job I do for free. Right? And it's just, I can't. So it inspires me when I haven't always loved recruiting, right? And I've fallen out of love with myself because I've had the wrong clients or the wrong space, right? But, my failures, like we're talking about, it's like, okay, this was a winning thing, but I ran it too long. So let's talk about what you guys your current offering is. And it's like, what do you guys like?
So, as we stated earlier, we're a Mark Cuban, Ashton Kutcher venture-backed NFT entertainment studio. We just launched a marketplace called Gaia on the Flow blockchain. Flow is the blockchain that Dapper Labs created. They're home of NBA Top Shot. And the reason why we're building on Flow is they're actually also one of our investors. So, the Gaia marketplace has 5 verticals: TV, film, music, sports, and pop culture. and it has a combination of our own internally developed IP as well as third party IP in all those different verticals. So, obviously in the TV and film, we're talking to major entertainment studios as well as different, celebrities in each of those verticals. Sports, talking to major sports leagues as well as individual celebrities. Music, same thing, talking to major music labels and different musicians. And then the pop culture is a kind of catch-all that has like luxury fashion brands, luxury automakers, etc. So it's super exciting. So we launched the first project that was launched on there was called Ballers, which is I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with NFTs and that space, but
well, we're pretty familiar.
Okay, so the way
I'm on it. I'm on the
Ballers.
Discord ballers. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess the best way to describe it is if CryptoPunks and NBA Top Shots had a baby, you would have.
No. That's a good way to describe it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that sale sold. I think it sold out in like less than 3 hours.
Yeah, you guys made like $2 million, man. It was
$2 million
in one drop. Boom, just like that.
Boom. And the crazy part is that the secondary market hasn't even opened up yet. But I mean, the projections are pretty rapid that the secondary sales, the floor on those is going to be definitely in the thousands. I'm not even sure exactly. I've heard a bunch of numbers. I don't want to throw out, but the community is very rabid. So once that secondary market opens up, which should be in the next couple of weeks, the problem was we got access to the Dapper wallet before anybody else. So we got in way, way, way early. I believe I'm pretty sure we were the first or one of the first to get access to Dapper wallet, which is, the magic of the whole Flow blockchain is you can use fiat currency. So that mom that only, knows how to, buy toilet paper on Amazon, she can also now just go onto Flow and just basically swipe the credit card and have that same Amazon experience and buy an NFT. But the Dapper wallet also, if the sort of the OG crypto people, they can use their Ethereum and Bitcoin as well. So it kind of gives you the option to do both. But anybody that doesn't know anything about crypto can go on to Flow and just purchase an NFT like they're buying a roll of toilet paper on Amazon. So that's one of the advantages. It's also very environmentally friendly. And in Flow too, they have those big brands. So it's a really safe space if you're a big brand and you want to protect your brand equity. So you have the NBA there, NFL's coming on there in the next few months, and La Liga, and there's a bunch of other big brands that'll be coming on there. But it's a very much like an Apple TV experience, very curated, just very easy to sort of, just navigate. So it's a great partner of ours. And it's an exciting place.
Yeah, this is so fantastic that what you've been saying. Yeah. Now, you being an accountant and understanding the value proposition of cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah.
You can make it, whether you've bought it or not, you can make an analysis. What I've seen is everybody is like, not everybody, a lot of people are poo-pooing cryptocurrency, and they're saying NFTs are going to be the thing, right? And I'm having trouble getting my arms around that. Right, that just doesn't occur accurate for me. I'm not saying that cryptocurrencies aren't going to be valuable. I mean, NFTs are going to be valuable, but when you think about it, well, I've got the Kobe Mamba NFT for 2.5 million. I'd like to buy an egg, right?
Yeah.
There's that transferability or that medium of exchange. Can you? And I might have cut you off guard with that, but do you have an opinion on that?
I think like the CryptoPunks, that those values are not going anywhere because they're the OGs. Those almost function like art. So I think some of these newer ones, I feel like the NFT is just sort of the cover charge to kind of get into the metaverse. So because I mean I think things are changing so quickly. I mean, like the whole metaverse thing, people are buying plots of land like crazy now. Somebody just paid $450,000 to buy plot of land next to Snoop Dogg.
Yes. Did you see that?
No.
I saw that. I'm like, really? I mean, who's got $450,000 just to buy a piece of like digital?
A lot of people have $450,000. Who have $450,000 for that? Right?
Yeah, I think the NFT. So I mean, you have to think more of like the NFT is just like step one in this whole like Web 3.0 metaverse thing, because obviously people are starting to buy plots of land. Nike just bought Artifacts for we don't even know what the number was, but they make digital shoes that you're going to be able to put on your avatars. Because I mean, eventually things are just, you have to think like this. We're going to have our digital avatars going out into the metaverse, and we're going to be hanging out at a concert with our friends. We're going to be hanging out at a store or hanging out at a bar. I mean, it's sort of weird to get your head around, but that's kind of where this is all heading.
You want to know? I think the blessing that I actually had was when I watched people do Farmville. I literally had an experience where someone said, "Hey, can you come to my house while I'm on vacation and log on to my computer and water my plants on Farmville?" So the thing about it, this was 10 years. This was 2010, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, it's like, "What? Are you crazy?" So I didn't dismiss that. I didn't, because there was a change in behavior. And so you got to realize that, there's this evolution of things happening, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, it goes to community. I think you're going to have an NFT of your favorite artist, and you're going to be able to go and engage with that artist all the time because of the NFT. And there's going to be utility attached to that. So I think it's a new way. Because I think that's the thing that's missing right now in social media. If you have your favorite artist, you're just like sending some messages on there, but there's not really a way to meaningfully engage with your tribe of like-minded, like-spirited people. So I think you have to think about that too, like that whole community engagement. I think that actually, anytime I talk to a brand or celebrity, I ask, the first question we ask is, what kind of community are you looking to build, and how do you want to really engage them? Because I think that's where the opportunities are. So you have to bring it back to a very human level. I think that's, at the end of the day, like all the technology stuff, I always just bring it back to more of a human level. What are you trying to do? What kind of community are you trying to build? So it's like, that's what you have to really think about. And I think those are where the possibilities of NFTs are endless, and which is really exciting too. So,
John, I can't thank you enough. Let's put a social up and tell everybody how to get a hold of your company, how to get a hold of you. Shout out.
Yeah. Well, social. I mean, there's a couple of things that we didn't even talk about, but I have a podcast called NFT Heat. Definitely check it out. We interview top thought leaders in the space. We're on like episode 17, but we had Avery Akinini, president of Vayner NFT, recently on. So it's a great episode. Check out. We're gonna have Joe Conyers, who's the head of NFTs at Crypto.com, coming on Friday. So fun, exciting guest.
Yeah.
We try to keep the episodes around 30 minutes. So definitely check that out. I'm on LinkedIn. John Kraski. That's probably where
Kraski for those of you who are listening on Spotify.
Very similar. When you Google my name, John Krasinski comes up a lot.
Yeah.
So
John Krasinski.
He's probably going to get annoyed, because I mean, up until this last year, I was nobody. But as I start to,
you're so much better looking than John Krasinski.
Oh wow, thanks.
And he's a horrible actor. So no, I don't think either of those things about him. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. I got to give a shout out to Travis, my engineer.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and Sticky Paws Studios
Of course.
here in very, very cold Las Vegas, Nevada. And I can't do it without my partner, Dave Hampton, Robo Recruiter.
Thank you. Eternally grateful.
And I'm David James, the Job Whisperer. And remember, everybody, get whisper.